Good afternoon and welcome to Foreigndesk on Benue television. My name is Winifred Yusu. On the headlines, Tunisian president sacks nation's prime minister. Russia president accuses Ukraine of major provocation. Plus, Israel revokes diplomatic status of Norwegian envoys. Tunisian President Kais Saied has sacked Prime Minister Ahmed Hachini and replaced him with a Social Affairs Minister. The statement from the President's office did not specify why Hachani was removed. Hachani had taken office on August 1, 2023, replacing Najla Bowden, who was also dismissed without an official reason by Saied. Few hours before he was dismissed, Hachani said in a video message that the government had made progress on a number of issues despite global challenges, including securing the country's food and energy needs. His replacement, Kamel Madari, had only taken on the social affairs portfolio in May. In a social media post from his office, Said was shown shaking hands with Madari, with a brief statement saying only the president had decided to assign him to head the government, succeeding Ahmed Hachani. The sacking comes ahead of Tunisia's October 6 presidential election, in which Said is seeking another term, and amid widespread discontent over continuing water and electricity outages in many parts of the country. While the government attributes these issues to persistent drought leading to the implementation of a water distribution quota system, Said claims that the water quotas are a conspiracy in a run-up to the presidential election, insisting that the dams are actually full. Said was democratically elected in 2019 but orchestrated a sweeping power grab in 2021. He faces criticism from the opposition, human rights groups, and candidates for restricting the intimidating competitors to pave the way for him to win a second term. Israel has revoked the diplomatic status of 8 Norwegian diplomats. Speaking on Thursday, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz said there is a price for anti-Israel behavior, citing Norway's recognition of Palestinian statehood and its backing of an International Criminal Court (ICC) case implicating Israeli leaders in alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity as reasons for the move. The Norwegian ambassador was summoned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Jerusalem on Thursday, where he was informed that the diplomats, all based in Tel Aviv, would have their accreditation revoked in 7 days and their visas annulled in 3 months. Reacting in a statement, Norwegian Minister of Foreign Affairs Espen Barth Eide said that this is an extreme act that primarily affects the ability to help the Palestinian population, warning that the decision would have consequences for its relationship with the Israeli government. Spain, Ireland, and Norway announced their decision to recognize a Palestinian state back in May, drawing a strong rebuke from Israel, whose leaders have repeatedly spoken out against Palestinian statehood. Israel had reacted furiously, accusing all 3 of rewarding terrorism and immediately withdrawing its ambassadors to Ireland, Norway, and Spain. It also ordered Spain's consulate in Jerusalem to stop offering consular services to Palestinians from June 1st, with Katz saying at the time that it was a punitive measure. In May, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court (ICC), Karim Khan, applied for arrest warrants against top Israeli and Hamas leaders for alleged war crimes. Khan announced his office had reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant bore criminal responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity. A Chinese envoy Dai Bing has restated the call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, being restated the call on all parties to respond to the overwhelming consensus of the international community and to jointly promote the full and effective implementation of relevant Security Council resolutions to achieve an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, put an end to the humanitarian catastrophe, and contain the spillover of the conflict. He emphasized that all efforts to prevent and resolve conflict and create a peaceful environment for civilians, including women, are key prerequisites for advancing the woman peace and security agenda. He said China supports the United Nations and Security Council in formulating clear and feasible transition plans and exists strategies for peace operations based on fully heeding and respecting the will of the countries concerned and aligning with the national development strategies and priority areas of the countries concerned, noting that women are important stakeholders in peace operations. Being said, Security Council Resolution 1325 explicitly supports women's equal and full participation in peace processes and calls for enhanced protection of women and girls in conflict areas. The mayor of Nagasaki, Shiro Suzuki, has defended his decision not to invite Israel to Friday's memorial for those killed in 1945's atomic bombing after ambassadors from countries including the United States and the United Kingdom said they would no longer attend the event. Suzuki told newsmen on Thursday that Israel had not been invited to avoid possible protests over its war on Gaza. Recall that on August 9, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Nagasaki, killing 74,000 people, including many who survived the explosion but died later from radiation exposure. The attack came 3 days after the U.S. dropped the world's first nuclear bomb on Hiroshima, killing 140,000 people and devastating the city. Japan announced its surrender on August 15, 1945, ending World War II and the country's nearly half-century of aggression in Asia. The U.S. Embassy announced that Ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, would skip the Nagasaki memorial because Israel's exclusion had politicized the event. Nagasaki officials said they were told that an official of the U.S. consulate in Fukuoka will represent the U.S. at Friday's ceremony. 5 other groups of 7 nations, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and United Kingdom, and the European Union, are also expected to send lower-ranking envoys to Nagasaki. Envoy from those nations signed a joint letter expressing shared concern about Israel's exclusion, saying treating the country on the same level as Russia and Belarus, the only other countries not invited, would be misleading. The envoys urged Nagasaki to reverse the decision and invite Israel to preserve the universal message of the city's ceremony. Let's take a very quick break. We will be back shortly with more stories. Do stay with us. Welcome. Nobel Peace Prize winner economist Muhammad Yunus has returned to Bangladesh to headed the interim government after weeks of student-led protest forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hassani to resign and flee to India. Speaking after touching down at Hazrat Shahjala International Airport in the capital Dhaka on Thursday, the 84-year-old said it was good to be back home. Yunus was picked by President Mohammad Shahabuddin to lead an interim government fulfilling a key demand of the student protest leaders. His main objective is to hold elections 90 days from the day of the dissolution of the country's parliament, which occurred on Tuesday. Recall that students had taken to the streets last month over a government job quota system, which escalated into a nationwide crisis following a harsh crackdown by authorities. Nearly 300 people were killed within weeks in one of the most violent phases of Hasina's 15-year rule. Hasina, 76, was forced to step down and flee, with millions of Bangladeshis celebrating her political departure. Yunus is an economist and banker who was awarded the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for founding Grameen Bank, which pioneered fighting poverty with microloans. According to reports, the students wanted someone non-controversial and non-political who is neutral, with global connections and capable of bringing something to the table for Bangladesh at this moment. Russian President Vladimir Putin has accused Ukraine of a major provocation after Moscow said it was battling a major cross-border attack on the southwestern Kursk region. The region's acting governor Alexei Smirnov said he had introduced a state of emergency amid 2 days of fierce fighting. The Ministry of Health said 31 civilians, including 6 children, had been injured. Smirnov said that 5 people had been killed the day before as Ukrainian troops backed by tanks and armored vehicles breached the border. Russia did not provide any information on military casualties. Ukraine has not commented directly on the attack, but Russia's Ministry of Defense said Ukrainian forces were pushing to the northwest of the border town of Sudza, 530 kilometers southwest of Moscow. Russia said it used air and artillery firepower to repel the attack after earlier Russian reinforcements to the region. The Institute for the Study of War, a Washington, D.C. based think tank, said in its August 7th update that geolocated footage suggested Ukraine may have advanced as far as 10 kilometers inside Russia. It said the troops appeared to be trying to advance along the Shunha-Koretnovo highway. At a meeting with Putin, Chief of General Staff Valery Gerasimov said Russian forces had halted an attack by as many as 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers, more than 3 times the figure that the defense ministry had stated as involved on Tuesday, and would push them back to the border. In his nightly video address, President Volodymyr Zelensky made no reference to the events in Kursk, while the General Staff did not mention it is his daily battlefield update. Russian prosecutors have demanded a 15-year sentence for a Russian-American citizen, Shinel Karelina, accused of treason for donating to a charity supporting Ukraine. Karelina, who was not included in a major prison swap between Russia and the West last week that also saw the release of the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gashkovich, is on trial in the city of Yekaterinburg. She pleaded guilty with the court press Service, saying she made a closing appeal to the judge on Thursday. The verdict is expected on August 15th. Carolina was born in Russia but immigrated to the United States in 2012, becoming a U.S. citizen in 2021. The Los Angeles Spa employee was arrested by the Federal Security Service (FSB) after flying to Russia to visit her family in Yekaterinburg at the start of the year. Investigators brought the treason charge after discovering on her mobile phone that she had donated $51.80 to Razom, the charity that provides aid to Ukraine. The FSB alleged that the ultimate beneficiary was the Ukrainian army. Russia has a number of Western and dual nationals in its jail, among them Yuri Malev, a Russian American who was sentenced to 3.5 years in June for social media posts allegedly marking a patriotic ribbon associated with the Soviet victory in the World War II. He was found guilty of rehabilitating Nazism and has been in pre-trial detention since December 2023. Malev, who worked as a security guard in New York, pleaded guilty. Other Americans still held on a variety of charges include Gordon Black, a soldier sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in June for assaulting and stealing from his Russian girlfriend, and Mark Fogel, a former teacher serving a 14-year sentence after being caught with medical marijuana that he said he used to treat pain. Let's take another break. We will be back shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome. Catalan separatist leader Carles Puigdemont has returned to Spain after 7 years of self-imposed exile and despite a pending warrant for his arrest. Puigdemont appeared before a throng of supporters in Barcelona on Thursday, pumping his fist as he climbed on to a stage surrounded by officials of his hardline party. Jinx at the Arc de Triomphe monument located near the Catalan parliament. Many in the crowd waved red, yellow and blue flags and chanted slogans demanding Catalonian secession from Spain. Puigdemont fled Spain over his role in a failed 2017 independence bid for the region. After his brief address, Puigdemont appeared to head to the regional parliament for the investiture vote to elect a new leader. But the assembly began the vote without him being present. It was not immediately clear where he was while police set up roadblocks within Barcelona and leading out of the city. His potential arrest and imprisonment could unleash new turmoil in Catalonia. The building in central Barcelona housing the regional parliament was fenced off and surrounded by police. His arrest could delay the swearing-in of a socialist government in Catalonia and jeopardize the national government's fragile alliance with Junts, on which it relies for legislative support. Meanwhile, far-right party Vox was set to hold a counter-protest outside Parliament. Its Secretary General Ignacio Garaya said on X that Vox Party will not tolerate the humiliation of seeing an alleged criminal and fugitive enter the parliament. The Spanish parliament passed an amnesty law in May, pardoning those involved in the failed 2017 secession bill, but the Supreme Court upheld arrest warrants for Puigdemont and two others who were also charged with embezzlement, ruling that the amnesty law does not apply to them. That's it on Foreign Desk, but before we go, let's take a recap of the top stories. Tunisia's president has sacked the nation's prime minister. We informed you that Israel has revoked diplomatic status of Norwegian envoys, and also Russia's president has accused Ukraine of major provocation. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Winifred Yu, so keep watching Benue television and have a good day.